Okay, so here's the problem. That fan, these sinks, and that toilet, when that fan comes on, smells were coming out of the toilet. Let's get out of the bathroom. I'm going to show you a solution. So even though we've only been in our rig for going on 6 months now, your tanks get a lot of use, both the gray tanks and the black tanks. And if you're not keeping your tanks clean, well, you're going to have smelly problems throughout your rig, especially when you turn on your fantastic fans or your max air fans, or even just the standard little fan that comes in most travel trailers. We have a solution, and I want to share it with you because we just learned about this about a month and a half ago, and ever since we've been doing it, terrific results. So there's a couple different names for this method. The most popular name for this method is the bio method. I've also heard the geo method. And really, I'm not even using exactly what they say. We've developed this formula based on the bio method. And let me tell you, our tanks, they smell fresh, they stay clean, and our sensors are staying clean. Now, before we get into this, let me remind you that when we're talking about black tanks and gray tanks, water is your absolute best friend. The more water you keep in your tanks, the better your tanks are going to be. So let's dive into this method. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the ingredients. Pine sol, not pine oil, but pine sol. Dawn dish soap and water. And that's what we're using. Now, some people are adding apple cider vinegar. Some people are doing white vinegar, pine sol, Dawn dish soap, and water. That is the formula that we've been using. And our tanks smell great, and they are staying super clean. And the proof is in what comes out. And I'm not even going to show you, but I tell you what, when you watch that stuff come out and when you get to the end and your tanks are clean, and more importantly, the sensors are working, then I think we've got it right. Now, here's the key. I have a gallon jug, and I make my formula in the gallon jug. And I do this every time we dump the tanks. Now, you could run out and spend a lot of money on drop-ins and whatnot, and that's fine. They do a nice job of keeping your tank smelling good, but when you want to break down and dissolve stuff, this method works. You have a disinfectant that is attacking everything that's in your tank. You've got a degreaser right here that is going in and keeping your tanks nice and clean and free of grease, especially your gray tanks. Don't put paper towels, don't put baby wipes. Use septic safe, RV safe toilet paper, and you're not going to have a problem. So this is how it's done. So I got this idea from watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos and then coming up with our concoction, but it's a real simple process. I'm going to take my gallon jug and I'm going to fill it halfway full of water. Water is your absolute best friend in your tanks. Okay, half full of water. You'll notice there's some fuzzy in there because this is the jar that I always use, and so there's some residual left in that. Next, we're going to add our pine sol. We're going to add about 2 cups of pine sol to this gallon jug. That feels like it's about 2 cups. And then our final ingredient, we're going to add about 1 cup or a little bit more of Dawn dish soap. And it really doesn't matter if it's not Dawn. If you want to use palm olive, that's fine too. You'll notice that I'm also doing this in the sink because if it goes down the drain, it's not going to hurt. That's about enough. Okay, now the key is shake it up, get it nice and mixed, And what I do is I make a batch of this and I just keep it under the sink. And that way it's ready to go. The next time I'm just cleaning this off because I got a little soap on the edge. But I'm gonna clean this off. Get that mixed up real good. And that's your solution. Now, after I dump my tanks, I take this gallon jug and I split it between the 2 grays and the 2 blacks. So a quarter of this jug in each tank, and everything seems to be working great. Okay, all the tanks are treated and we're ready again. And again, we do this process after each time we dump. So that solution goes in and it starts the process every time you rinse, every time you flush. Man, I sure wish there was smell-o-vision. The entire rig smells terrific right now. And when I turn on the fans, no bad odors. And when I dump the tanks, I got nice clean tanks. Hey, another really good tip on this method is if you dump tanks before you leave your next campground or your next travel day, go ahead and do this treatment before you go. Put about a gallon of water in all of your tanks and let that solution slosh around as you're going down the road. You'll get great results that way. Again, you can spend a lot of money on drop-ins that are really only going to mask the smell and stuff, and it does say that it breaks things down. But here's what I know for sure. For about 7 years now, we've been using drop-ins, and our tanks have never been cleaner since we started using this method. I highly encourage it, and we thank you for coming along. We'll see you in the next video.